Today on the show, we're going behind the scenes at the reopening of Shakespeare in the Park at the Delacorte Theater. I'm Frank DiLella, and this is On Stage.
Getting to reopen the Delacorte Theater is the honor of a lifetime.
It's a magical place.
You never feel like you're more in New York than when you're at the Delacorte.
Welcome to this special edition of On Stage. The Delacorte Theater, nestled right here in the middle of Manhattan's Central Park, is home to free Shakespeare in the Park. It may look like a state-of-the-art facility, but it had humble beginnings. Theater producer and director Joe Papp, the founder of the Public Theater, was the visionary behind the free performances that take place here every summer. Artistic director of the Public, Oskar Eustis, and the late Joe Papp's wife, Gail Papp, tell us more about the history of Shakespeare in the Park. Since 1962, Shakespeare in the Park has been delighting audiences with free open-air performances of the world's most well-known playwright and a few other works along the way. But the summer productions created by Joe Papp didn't always have a permanent home.
Our very first performances were in the East River Amphitheater, opposite the Al Smith housing projects. And then Joe started touring them around to all the parks in all the boroughs, towed by cars and then later a garbage truck, a portable stage, putting up in boroughs across the city this sort of surprise event. Suddenly, Shakespeare was in your midst. The myth has it that the truck broke down by the side of the Turtle Pond in Central Park. There's actually some truth to it. And we sort of stayed put, and we're still there today.
It was crucial to Joe that it remained free and accessible to all, having an empowering and democratizing influence on New York City.
The Delacorte was built because Joe won what for us is a very famous battle with the Commissioner of the Parks, Robert Moses, who wanted to force us to charge for Shakespeare in the Park, and Joe wouldn't do it, and he finally got the imprimatur of the New York Court of Appeals, which is the highest court in New York State, who said, yes, you have the legal right to do free Shakespeare in the Park. Moses was defeated and then turned around and built the theater for us. And that was in 1962. It opened with George C. Scott playing Shylock in Merchant of Venice. And ever since then, we have been the lessee of the Delacorte. I'm actually grateful to Moses for being a good loser.
Since then, so many greats have graced the stage in Central Park.
The list is unbelievable. James Earl Jones, Al Pacino, Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Danielle Brooks, Jeffrey Wright. And for the actors standing on that stage, and for the people sitting in the audience, there is no feeling more fulfilling than doing The Greatest Writer as an act of civic participation.
You see James Earl Jones doing King Lear, and there's one line in Lear where he says the word howl like 10 times. That's what Shakespeare wrote. Howl, howl, howl. And to hear James Earl Jones do that was just astonishing.
Yeah.
He said that was a very helpful thing for a young actor, because you have to develop your voice. There's no microphones or anything like that. You have to project out into the open space and reach the audience.
For the most part, the show must go on rain or shine, except in certain weather circumstances. Unless, of course, you're Meryl Streep.
Meryl was performing Mother Courage, and we had to stop and hold for rain. And I went backstage and I said, guys, I'm really sorry, we're going to have to call the show. And Meryl said, no, we're not. And I protested that we had to, because it was simply too dangerous, that it was too wet, and the microphones, they could be electrocuted. And Meryl said, we'll put tape around the microphones, we're not stopping. Well, needless to say, in the battle of wills between me and Meryl, it was no contest, Meryl won. So they taped the microphones, and the rain started to slacken around 11 p.m. There were still 400 people huddled in their raincoats. And then Meryl got out and started squeegeeing the stage to get the water off. And then the cast got back up and they performed and ended just at midnight. And the applause that night, even though it was only 400 people left, was louder than any applause I've ever heard in the Delacorte.
This summer, the Delacorte Theater reopens with a production of Twelfth Night, starring Lupita Nyong'o, Peter Dinklage, Sandra Oh, Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
How much leg do you get?
All of it.
All of it?
It looks great.
I was gonna wear pants because like, well, if I'm on TV, but you know, it's too hot.
And Daphne Rubin Vega, directed by Associate Artistic Director of the Public Theater, Sahim Ali.
I was a college student in Boston, and I took the Chinatown bus to New York to see a show. And I couldn't afford to see anything on Broadway. So I stood in line at the Delacorte, and I saw my first play in New York. It was Twelfth Night. And I could not believe how excellent it was, how powerful it was, and that it was free, you know? And so that really inspired me to think about access and availability and to want to come and like work at the Public Theater one day, because I couldn't believe that part of the mission of this theater was to provide such high quality, excellent Shakespeare with incredible performers for free. Like, who's paying for that then, you know?
That's crazy because you're giving away almost 2,000 tickets free every night. People are not performing for free. Designers are not designing for free. So where does that money come from if nobody's paying for a ticket? And part of the miracle of this organization is that it has raised the money every year to produce in that large theater for over 60 years. It's a struggle every single year. It's a tall order.
Free is crucial. Not cheap, but free. Because that means that the art is not a commodity to be purchased, it's a birthright.
Theaters in New York on the Broadway are transactional 100%. And that this is a different kind of transaction. It's just not about money. And so it really makes it, I mean, pardon the expression, it makes it sacred.
Theater done correctly is crucial to the spiritual health of a community. It holds up a mirror to the society that we live in, and it allows us to see when we are at our best and when we are at our worst. And if it's free for everybody, then everybody gets to partake in that journey.
It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, where you come from in life, whether or not you speak the language, that there's a place for you to come and enjoy high quality art. It's exceptional.
It's just such a democratic, open-hearted, lovely venue, and I've never performed anywhere else, even touches how special it is to perform at the Delacorte.
It's a magical place. The fact that it's there for all, and you're out there under the stars or the rain or the clouds or whatever, and that it's for the people. It's a beautiful thing.
Next up, we'll go inside the park for an up-close look at the newly refurbished and renovated Delacorte Theater. But before we head to break, it's a time-honored New York City summer tradition, waiting in line in Central Park for tickets. But did you know that's not the only way to score seats? Here are some tips and tricks on how to get tickets to Shakespeare in the Park.
There's a bunch of different ways to get tickets for the Delacorte. The first is here at the Delacorte. The line starts pretty early in the morning, and at noon we will give out tickets to that line until we run out. At the same time, down at the Public Theater on 425 Lafayette, they will be doing a lottery there as well, and they will give out as many tickets as they can there. Also, we do borough distributions. You can go on thepublictheater.org. They'll have a list of all the different places they will be and what days they'll be there. And they will basically be giving out tickets there as well until they run out. And then there's also the Today Tix lottery on your phone. You can enter in from home. It is the hardest to win because so many people can do it, but it's straight from your phone. It opens up, I believe, at midnight every day and closes at noon the day of the performance. And then lastly, we will start a standby line here at the Delacorte, And any tickets that don't get picked up at a certain time or are returned will go to that standby line and they'll be able to go see the show. The amount of tickets distributed each day varies depending on who we have in the house and whatnot, but there is a little under 2,000 seats inside of the theater.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more premiere theater coverage and exclusive interviews, click the subscribe button. You can also download the Spectrum News app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you there.